Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
Good. Good to
Good.
see you.
Good to see you too.
Well, my name is Wendy Cicchetti. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm an international astrologer, and today we are going to talk about the energies for the second half of April, which are very strong, very powerful, and actually quite unusual. So before we get started, I'd like to welcome Sherry Petoni. She helps me facilitate this channel and asks questions and gives comments along the way. Sherry has been studying natural healing and the neuropsychology, psychoenergy. That's a hard one for me. Neuropsychoenergy for over 25 years.
Hi, everyone. First of all, if you guys are all inspired by this channel and you like our content, please like the channel, hit subscribe, and then click the notification bell to be notified about our timely videos. It would really help our channel grow. We are humbled and blessed by your presence here. So now let's get started with the second half of April, because there is a lot, and I mean a lot to unpack. I've already kind of gone over this with Wendy. In fact, the video might be a little bit longer than normal because there is so much to pay attention to and be informed about. So Wendy, let's just dive right in and get started with all the second half of April energies.
Okie doke. Well, here we go. Now, we've named this video Revelations, Secrets Revealed. And that really is the tone for the rest of this month. And it's going to continue on for longer than that. But that's the main focus. But remember, these are seed points. These are triggers. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen and when it's going to happen, but I can only let you know what the energies are. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the full moon in Libra on the 16th. Now, this is really interesting because, we think about Libra energy, but this is really more about Pluto. Let me show you how it works. One side we have the moon or the sun, the other side we have the moon, and right up here, right in between, we have Pluto. And it's in what's called the T-square, which is two squares, right next to each other. So we've got a square from Pluto to the sun and the square of Pluto to the moon. And so what does that mean? It means it's bringing some things to a head, okay? It's all about power, information, and power. Pluto is how power is used in the world. This has to do with abuse of power, emotional intensity. The moon, is shining a very, very bright light on what we haven't seen before. And that's what's so interesting. It's revealing secrets, the shadow side, corruption in government and business, financial markets, and also the betrayal of the people. And that's huge. So it's time to take our power back, folks.
Yes.
And what that really means is, that doesn't mean running out into the streets and waving and whatever. It means becoming emotionally neutral. As we see all of the revelations that are going to be released over the next period of time, it's going to wake a lot of people up. It's going to create a lot of emotion, and emotion is what you need to concern yourself with. Because if you see something and it makes you really angry and you get all worked up about it, you've given your power to it. And so remaining emotionally neutral, observing, watching, taking note of, but remaining in your emotional balance is really important. Okay.
Yeah. I know, Wendy, you talk about that too, but really quick, I think that also means globally.
Yes.
What is going on globally and in your own country or region? In
That's
addition to things going on in your house, where you're giving power away to the external things that you're reading in the media, and then also what you're feeling and doing inside your house. So,
that's right. So, and finding out where it actually impacts your chart, your particular chart, which will give you clues as to what houses are being impacted. But the interesting thing about this with Pluto, we're involved now in the United States Pluto return. And what that means is that Pluto is coming all the way back around. It takes about 248 years to come around to the exact position it was in when the country was created. Now, what this creates is literally the death of the old country that is no longer working, and we all see that, the corruption and so forth. But it actually, it's in a self-destruct mode so that we can rebuild. So Pluto means the death of the old, birth of the new, through an evolutionary cycle. And that's what our country's in. It's interesting to note that 2 days before the Pluto return was exact, war broke out. Okay. And when a planet is in its last degrees, which Pluto is at the 28 degrees, it's called at its anorexic, not anorexic, crowded in my mind, anoretic, sorry. It's in its anoretic degree. A little bit of humor there. And what that means is it's almost ready to go into the next sign. And so it's really digging in. It's really working hard to get its job done. And because Pluto is in Capricorn, it means business, big government, money, big religion, all of that stuff. It's designed to take apart so that the new can be established.
And you can definitely feel and see those changes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we've got that going on. And then the other thing about this moon is Saturn is in a T-square with the nodes. Again, what does Saturn represent, right? It represents big government. And so the nodes represent our destiny, okay? And they also represent bringing about or letting us know things that are happening. So this has to do with revelations, okay? What are our priorities? Saturn is the old. What are we leaving behind? What should we leave behind? Because we're in a process of really jumping into, away from the old world and into the new world, okay? Libra is calling for us to stay in balance and harmony. Now, Libra also has to do with legal issues. We've got a lot of legal things going on right now. Globally, there are legal issues that have been filed that are in court that have to do with governmental abuse of power.
Yeah, which I think aren't really readily always,
Right.
put out there in the media. Things you have to dig for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, these are in world courts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And then here in the United States, we've got legal issues coming up and being filed based on the elections, the 220 elections, and whatever fraudulent activity took place there. So a lot of legal stuff, and that's what Libra has to, one of the things Libra has to do with. So watch court action, what happens at that point. But, just really a really powerful moon, okay, that deals with power. But it kind of sets the stage for the month, and not just the month, but for the period of time for the next several months as more and more information becomes available. Now, we had talked in my last video about Jupiter conjunct Neptune, okay? On the 12th, it's happening on the 12th, a couple days from now. People need to understand that these energies are non-stoppable. It's a non-stoppable force. It's not something we can manipulate at all. And these Neptune, Jupiter energies will be with us. It's setting the stage for these energies to be with us for a long period of time, which has to do with either awakening, and we talk about the duality, it can be either magical and peace and spiritual gifts, and we want to reach out for it and we want to make the most of it, higher frequency matches, that kind of thing. Or it's the opposite. And Neptune and Pisces has within it both sides. The other side is delusion, illusion, insanity, addiction, escapism, all of those kinds of things. So this gives us a choice. What is it that we want to create? What is it that we want to follow? And as far as I'm concerned, I'll follow the the spiritual in a heartbeat,
Yeah.
And
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that we have that free will to decide right now. There's a polarity in deciding whether you want to go to the positive or the negative.
right.
And that is one place where you have control to be able to decide what you want to focus on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And these are divine blessings if we want them, if we want to accept them. But I will tell you, it's happening. I've got clients who are integrating their light bodies, clients that are saying, oh my God, I'm seeing beyond, never seen anything like this before, and reeling because they are integrating these higher frequencies coming onto the planet. Now, Venus is going to be joining and conjunct Neptune so we have Neptune and Jupiter, okay? Venus is going to be joining it and Mars is going to be joining it. Now, when Venus joins it, it's beautiful creative energies, it's hope and it's optimism, and but then we talked about the other side. So be cautious. In other words, don't dramatize it too much until we see the reality of it. One of the things about Neptunian energy is, it's water like the ocean. And if you look into the ocean, it's hard to see very far down. Now, there are some areas where it's really clear, like up in the Yucatan Peninsula, in Mexico. But most of the time, it's really hard to see. And so be careful, romanticizing things too much. Wait, things just because you envision them doesn't make them real initially. It takes time to create them. Right.
Manifest them. Yeah.
Yeah. So now Mars in Pisces is completely different than Venus. Mars is not happy in Pisces at all because Mars needs direction. It likes to take charge and move forward in a direction. But in Pisces, it has no direction. It's just kind of floating around all over the place. So it's not happy. It's like the football team, coach is in the locker room with the team, revving them up. Come on, guys, get out and win. And the door is locked. And they can't go. And so that's what Mars is like in Pisces. So, it might have a little effect, but it's lost there. So don't get too excited about that one. All right. So then we want to look at the role of Mercury in all of this, because Mercury is key. Now, I've told you before, Mercury is the messenger. They call it the messenger of the gods. And it keeps us informed about what's actually happening, in the zodiac. And for the rest of April, it's moving pretty fast, okay? And it's conjuncting these heavy hitters, and it's in squares to the heavy hitters, and it's in trines to the heavy hitters. So we want to be aware of where it's at so we know what it's going to be talking about. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like everything's moving really fast today anyway. So.
Well, we're in that Aries energy. Aries is all about speed.
Yeah.
Patience, impulsiveness, speed, fighting, pushiness, all of that stuff. And so we're in on that. But right on the 17th, and it's actually within orb of the new moon or the full moon. It's actually within orb. But then on the 17th, it's exact. Mercury is conjunct Uranus. Well, that's like flashes of inspiration, sudden revelations, problem solving. All of a sudden you figure out how to do things, how to fix things. And so on the Uranian side of Uranus in Taurus, we have the FDA proposing that no more meats will be sold in the grocery stores after 2024, and that all meat will then be grown in the lab. Okay, lab grown meats. And it's like, that doesn't really appeal to me.
No.
I'd prefer to go to the Taurus side, which is, gardening, agriculture, growing your own food, sustaining yourself and not eating things that might have chemicals or toxicity to it. The genetically modified stuff and all of that. That doesn't appeal to me. Now it's up to you what you choose, but I would choose to go back to nature, simplify.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that I know are building their own communities around gardening, regenerative farming, replanting the soil to make it, more biodiverse. And so it's really interesting that there's communities kind of being built outside of the current system. Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. We want to support local organic farms are huge. And that's what we be doing. Now, on the 23rd, we've got Mercury conjunct the nodes. Well, the nodes are, and that's square to Saturn, by the way, on the 23rd. So again, that is a place where we're being told things. We're getting more information. And since it's square Saturn, what's the information about? Government. Okay. Big business, big money, all of those kinds of things. So, but what we want to do at this time is, and what's being proposed is a reality check. What's going on? Who has the true facts? What are they? It also has to do with government secrets being revealed. And so then on the 26th, we have Mercury in a sextile to Neptune and Jupiter. And that means the facts just aren't clear. We can't get to the bottom of it at that time. Okay. So we're trying to get the clarity, and then Neptune and Jupiter get involved. And it's like, oh, nothing's clear. But at that time, on the 26th, we have 5 planets in Pisces. So we have Neptune, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, and then the moon moves in there on the 27th. So these 5 planets are on the 26th, I think. And Pisces, yet again, we look at the magnification of the two sides, the polarization, the beauty, the magic, the inspiration versus the illusion, delusion, insanity, escapism, drugs, all that stuff. So we have both sides.
So we have more polarity.
Right. And it's up to us to choose what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's really the issue. What are you going to see?
I feel like it's been that way for 2 years anyway. We get clarity. Nope, it's not there. Wait, we get a little more clarity. Nope, we're back to confusion. I mean, I don't know what everybody else thinks. I'd love to know what you guys think about the energies and whether you're feeling this polarity and you're still trying to figure out where the truth lies in between there somewhere.
Yeah,
so
it truly is all about just finding the truth and staying balanced with it. Now on the 27th, we have Venus conjunct Neptune exactly, and Venus conjunct Jupiter on the 30th. This is wonderful energy, wonderful creative energy. There's not much negative you can come up with about that.
That's
so
good.
You'd like that on the 27th, and the 26th to create something, write down your creative ideas. That's wonderful. And then on the 28th, Mercury is trine Pluto. Now, this is interesting because on the 28th, Pluto stations retrograde. Now, when a planet goes retrograde, it builds in energy. It increases in energy. Now, right now, there are no planets retrograde at all. So everything's going fast. Everything is just moving. No impediments until the 28th. And then Pluto slows down to virtually a standstill, and then starts moving retrograde the next day. So I think it's interesting at that time that Mercury is trine Pluto when it starts moving backwards, and that's when we're going to get more secrets revealed, dealing with issues of power its misuse, and sexual secrets. You know, there's so much going on with human trafficking and everything associated with that, that all of that stuff's is going to come out. People are going to see even what our government has been involved in associated with that. Now, we have the new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, and that's coming on the 30th. Now, it's a solar eclipse, and we're going to talk about what that means. But this particular one is just another layer of instability. It's very edgy energy, okay? And the day before is when Mercury moves into the sign of Gemini, which is its home. Mercury's very happy in Gemini. It's just going fast and it's just spitting out information. And, you know, it's just free flow information.
And probably head spinning.
Yes, absolutely. So fast and aggressive communications as Pluto goes retrograde. Isn't that interesting? Revelations and secrets exposed. So this, on the 30th, we have the sun and moon sextile Mars. Now, I don't think that's that big a deal because Mars isn't happy in Pisces. But the one that is interesting is the sun and moon conjunct Uranus within a couple of degrees. And so that, again, is quick and sudden information that comes up, and, you know, who knows what it's going to be. We just know. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, we have been getting huge amounts of energy, documents being released, proof of things, literally how the people have been betrayed. There's all kinds of that stuff happening, coming out. The issue is hearing about it. You have to go to something away from the mainstream media because they're not reporting it, because it's not part of their narrative. They want you to see things in the way they want you to see things. And the alternate media is telling you a lot of truth that they're not. So eclipses are pivotal points. And the energy starts, you know, a month before, and we're in that now, to 6 months later. And it's really interesting too that the length of the eclipse tells you how long that these energies are going to be in play. So I think it's a month per minute, as I recall. I didn't look it up again because it's been a while since I've thought about it, but I think it's a month per minute. So the longer it lasts, the more energy, the longer the energies are going to be viable. Now, it brings a lot of intensity, pivot points in personal charts as well as the world, major changes, always major changes, and things heat up. It's a part of destiny. It's a great activation time. These are non-negotiable changes in energies. So don't think that you can get around it. No. What you do, and this is so important, and I learned this when I was taking astrology years and years ago, and the teacher said, when you're in a Saturn transit, get on your knees and just say, I surrender. Because, and these are the same types of situations. You can't fight it. If you fight it, you make it worse if you try and fight it. So surrender to it. What is it that I need to change in my life to help me evolve? You know, these are the questions you need to be asking yourself instead of going, oh no, I don't want to look at that. No, surrender to it. Say,
Yeah.
show me in my life.
I've been through those periods in my life where these things happen. They force you to make these changes. But in reality, most of those times, almost all of those times, they were things that weren't working for me in my life anymore anyway. So they were forcing me to make decisions that weren't lined up with my heart. So I think that's like another good way to look at it, and not to be afraid of it, but to say, okay, you know what, it is time for some changes, and I'm just going to let it go and see where it lies, you know?
And even in all of these heavy aspects, challenging squares and so forth, we just have to say, I surrender. I'm ready to receive instruction and answers. That's the way we should play it, okay, rather than fighting against it. So big openings, possibilities, big closings, and challenges. Okay. It would be good also to find out where 26 degrees of Libra falls in your chart. Now that's the one on the 16th, the full moon on the 16th. This new moon solar eclipse on the 30th is at 10 degrees Taurus. So you want to find out where 10 degrees Taurus falls in your chart. So you know what houses are being affected by these energies. That's just, information is power, right? When we know what's coming, we know what houses, and then we can work with it,
I think it would be good, Wendy, maybe for another video, to take a look at the charts and just a quick overview of what chart might look like, how you can tell what degrees they're in and what house they're in and what they might mean. Yeah,
that would be a really good idea. And then in May 15th, we have the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. That's going to be an interesting one. I wanted to mention something that I feel is really important. People are talking about the Great Awakening and then all this spiritual stuff with Neptune. There are two different concepts. The Great Awakening has to do with people all of a sudden waking up and recognizing how they've been used, how we've been lied to. And it's not just in this country, it's around the world, where people are waking up and seeing this stuff just doesn't add up. Okay. And so that's people waking up. But the great spiritual awakening is completely different. And that has to do with the Neptune and Pisces conjunction, which gives us a spiritual bump, a spiritual advantage. So there are two things going on. What we would wish for people is that they would go through the awakening, see what's happening, and then bump up spiritually so they get greater intuition, greater ability to know what to do with their lives through the coming chaos. So, but they're two separate issues.
And I think all of those things are easier when you let go, like you said. Right. Just don't swim against the current.
Right. Stay emotionally neutral. Don't try and fight it. It's going to come. The interesting thing about all of the revelations that are coming, it's like, and I heard it explained this way, where it's like if you're knitting or crocheting and somebody pulls on a thread, it's like everything is unraveling. It's a mass unraveling that's happening. And as those threads get pulled line by line by line, we're getting more and more information about the corruption in the media, about the corruption in the medical profession and the medications and all of these kinds of things. But everything is going to come unraveled.
Yeah. And I know for me, you talked about the great spiritual awakening. If you haven't had that yet, or if you have had it, I'd like to know. But for me, the way that I knew that was because I just couldn't move forward with what I was doing. I was being called in a direction that I just could no longer ignore. And, I think that that's part of knowing, like, okay, I'm having this spiritual awakening. I'm going to have to take the steps now to move into the space that they're calling me to go into, that I'm being called to go into. So that's not an easy process.
No, and
all the time, but certainly worth the process.
I think that is such a valid point. When you feel things aren't working, then something's got to change.
Yes.
a lot of people are making radical changes, like selling their homes, selling everything, getting a motor
Yeah.
home, and moving off into the land someplace far away, and recognizing that the big fancy houses are wasting all their money.
Yeah.
And who
What gives you, what feeds your soul? Is that what
That's
really feeds
right.
your soul? Or, and you just find yourself, for me, it's being in nature more, wanting to learn more about farming and community driven, co-ops, different things like that. And just talking to other people who are willing to heal other people and that don't want to fight. That it
That's
just
right.
could be as simple as, I'm just so tired of all the arguing and the fighting.
Right.
I'm just not going to play the game right now. I can't do it.
And I
So,
think that's the big thing. People are saying, I'm not playing the game anymore.
yeah.
It's rigged anyway.
And it's
And
draining. It's
yeah,
draining.
yeah, it really is, trying to keep up with all the nonsense. So another thing that's really important is flowers.
Hmm.
Flower energy is so potent, guys. Um, Surround yourself with flowers. I even have this little cactus here. Look at this. It's the cutest little thing. Look at that purple flower in it.
Pretty.
Isn't that nice? I like to surround myself with flowers in my desk, or go sit on your porch and have flowers out there and just absorb the beauty and the strength of their energy. One person said, I was a few years ago, it said, follow the flowers. That's where you'll find your strength. And it makes me realize these Bach flowers we're telling everybody about.
Yeah, yeah.
Flower energies, they're so powerful.
They
You know,
really are.
do all of these things and try and catch the vision of these beautiful energies that are there for us, the hope, the imagination, all of these things with Venus and Neptune and Jupiter. A lot of hope, a lot of inspiration involved in that. And project what you want.
Yeah.
Like we say, don't be too romanticizing about it. You want to be grounded about it, but
Yes.
catch it and increase your spiritual practice. I use with my clients and my students the 4 Ds: daily, disciplined, dedicated, and devoted. People think, well, dedicated and devoted no, they're not. Dedicated means you're just dedicated to doing it every day. But when you add devotion to it, it gives a much more spiritual quality, a much more heartfelt quality to it. I'm devoted to this. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You got like head, sort of like the head sense of the dedication and the
Yes.
drive, but then from the
It's the
heart
heart.
center, it makes it a little more passionate about what you're doing and driven from a different place. Yeah.
So if you can do a practice every day, and I talk about Lars Muehl a lot. I love him, and he's a visionary and a very pure soul, and you can find him on YouTube. And his name is Lars Muehl, and he has a video called Gateways and Passwords to Heaven. If you watch that, and if you do the practice that he teaches you on there, I will tell you right now, you're going to advance in your spirituality. Right, Sherry?
Yes.
Sherry's done it too. I give his information to all of my students, all of my clients, because I feel at this time on our planet, what he's teaching is so powerful and so helpful. That's what we're trying to do, is help people through all this, let them see what's actually going on, what the potential is, and then to provide remedy that will help you get through it and
Yes.
enhance your spirituality.
And I think the one thing that you said earlier was, for me, the power of neutrality is extremely important.
Yeah.
Because, and that doesn't, I'm not talking about faith in that standpoint there. I'm just talking about being able to zoom out from the situation and being able to look at it from a point of neutrality. We always talk about observe rather than absorb. And
Yes.
I think that that's what it can do for you. When you become neutral, you go, okay, wait a second, I don't have all these facts. It can be confusing, but I don't need to have all those pieces together yet. I'm just observing right now. And in due time, all of those pieces will come together for you and you'll be guided. But trust in that neutrality of zooming out and looking from a different perspective.
And keep your emotions balanced and in check. Now, one of the things I wanted to share, and it's by Khalil Gibran. I think that's how you pronounce his name, but this is awesome. It says, the appearance of things changes according to the emotions, and thus we see magic and beauty in them, while the magic and beauty are really in ourselves.
That's beautiful. Yes.
It's an inside job, guys. It's all
Always.
an inside job. Remember that our lives are about self-mastery. And that's what we're in school for on this earth, is self-mastery.
For sure. Absolutely. So, well, that about wraps up April energies, right? I mean, I was looking, I think I wrote it down. We have to look for here's my notes. We have to look for the 12th, the 16th, the 17th, the 26th, the 27th, the 28th, and the 30th.
So
some of these changes coming in.
that it's really potent.
Yes.
And it's powerful. And listen to what's being revealed, because it will be helpful and it will add clarity. And the clarity is so important. That's the only way we know how we're going to move forward, is when we're clear about what all the problems are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's important to find a community of like-minded people. So, one of the things that Wendy and I have been talking about is we're looking at starting a community ourselves. You're going to be starting a community and a subscription service over the next several months on bringing people together so we can talk about these energies in a little bit more of a classroom setting, more of like a community setting with each other to engage with each other. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, keep an eye out for that over the next.
And I like that. I like that format, because we don't have to be so guarded.
Yes.
Now we can speak more truthfully, more openly about our concerns. And that's good. And so also, because of these eclipses and these powerful energies, if you want to find out how they're affecting your life, I'm offering an additional 10% off on my reading, my full reading, to help people find out more about themselves and where these energies are taking place. And there'll be a coupon code to get the extra percentage off in the description below.
That's amazing. And that's how my relationship with you started, when you did a reading. And I was just blown away by it. And it was so helpful for me to understand myself, and the way that you format the readings. And they're about an hour, hour and a half sometimes.
An hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. To go through your birth chart, and then what that means for your personality. And then the next several years of the transition, the planets that may be coming. The transits. So it's pretty powerful and super interesting. So you'd be lucky to work with Wendy.
Yeah, well, it's worth it, because they're life-changing. These readings are life-changing for people.
They really are, very much so. Well, good. So we'll connect back. And you said May 15th is the next big thing. So I guess we'll be, in a couple of weeks, we'll go over May energies and see what's going on there, and reflect on what happened at the last 2 weeks of April. In the meantime, stay neutral. And we'd love to have you keep staying here on the channel and building a community together. So
now, when I say neutral, I want to clarify this.
Yeah.
It's neutral to the third dimensional stuff. Don't get emotionally involved in it, but do get emotionally involved in spirituality.
Yes.
Do get emotionally activated by all of that. We don't want you to be neutral there. We want you to go for it.
Yes. Good point.
Stay out of the other stuff.
Good point, Wendy. All right, Wendy, we'll see you next time.
Okay. Love to all.
Okay.
Bye.